Our programme tonight is about UFOs and aliens. We'll be looking at what the human race really knows about them. If you think you've seen something in the sky that can't be explained, or that the world is being softened up for some startling revelations about aliens, then you'll definitely want to stay tuned. And here to talk about the subject is multi-talented UFO researcher Richard D. Hall. He's the author of Aliens Before Gentlemen, A Guide to the Future, also the editor of website richplanet.net, and producer and director of a new 6-part series coming soon to Edge Media TV, also called richplanet.net. So, what a show we've got tonight. Richard, welcome.
Hello, Theo. I'm delighted to be here.
Good. I'm delighted that you're here as well. Just to sort of give a bit of background to what you've done.
Yes.
Here's a copy of your book, Aliens Before Gentlemen, A Guide to the Future. It's actually a bloody excellent read, but I've got to say, strange title.
Well, actually, my partner thought of the title, funnily enough. But the book itself is actually about the future. Most UFO books, non-fiction that is, focus on the past. So they focus on a UFO event or events, and they try to basically prove that UFOs or aliens exist by going into detail on things that have occurred. My book does the opposite. It accepts that aliens and UFOs exist and basically prepares the reader for a disclosure of the facts and goes into the politics of the future, what technology might be released in the future, all things like that, how to protect yourself, what to do if you're confronted by an alien.
I've got to say, it's not like any other book I've read about UFOs and aliens, because as you say, most of those are about, you know, here's a case of Rendlesham Forest, here's a case of, you know, Phoenix Lights or whatever, and you just say, OK, there's enough evidence, and I think we're going to look at some of the other people who accept that evidence in the show tonight. Yeah,
I mean, my background essentially is I would describe myself as a technologist. I have a degree in electrical engineering, and I worked as a design engineer for Rolls-Royce for 12 years, working on things like control systems for power stations, you know, the big control rooms that you get in power stations.
The one that Homer Simpson works at?
I don't watch The Simpsons.
OK.
But I then went on to work in the IT field. So over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I've been developing websites. So I have a good grasp of technology. And in the early 1990s, I heard somebody called Bob Lazar on a radio program. And he claimed to have worked for the US Navy at Area 51, or an area near Area 51, on a recovered flying saucer. And I read extensely his work, how he describes these craft, and in my opinion, basically the workings of the craft, how the anti-gravity systems work, etc., there's nobody could have thought of that up. To me, it just struck a chord that the technology was genuine.
It's something to do with an element, isn't it? That's right at the end of the scale, element 151?
That's 115.
115?
Yeah.
115.
So this element, or the particular isotope of this element, can't be found on Earth. It's developed in another part of our galaxy and has been brought here by aliens, and it has some phenomenal properties in that it can generate a gravity wave. In other words, it can produce the same effect that our Earth produces when it attracts mass to the Earth. So it can then produce gravity away from the Earth, which is how basically the craft are propelled. So
the craft effectively was just falling away from the Earth using its own gravity.
Exactly. It creates its own hole and just falls into it.
Well, that's fascinating. So Mark from Newcastle says, do you think aliens could take animal or human form?
Do I think aliens could take animal or human
shape-shifting?
I'm not sure about that. I haven't seen any evidence of shape-shifting, no.
OK, and I've got another question here from David in Merseyside. What's your take on Blossom Goodchild and the Federation of Light claims?
Well, she was proved to be wrong. Nothing happened, so, you know...
Well, sorry, David, that's put short shrift to that.
Yeah.
But there are other people who have given credible evidence about aliens, and I think...
Absolutely.
I think Edgar Mitchell is one.
Dr. Edgar Mitchell was the 6th man on the moon, and he's
allegedly.
Well, yeah. He is a very well-respected scientist, and in July this year, he spoke out about the subject and about his belief that the Americans have had contact with aliens and have recovered UFOs. And we've got some of those comments that he made very recently in July this year.
Let's run that photo, please. Number 1, please, if we can. And if you can read them out for us.
Yeah, this is Dr. Edgar Mitchell speaking on the 23rd of July this year. I happen to be privileged to be in on the fact that we have been visited on this planet. The UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by governments for quite a long time. It's been well covered up by all our governments. For the last 60 years or so, the Roswell crash was real, and a number of other contacts have been real and ongoing.
And have we got the next one as well? Here we are.
Public awareness... Yeah.
Oh, can we have that second one, please? Got the number 2 of those stills.
Public awareness is increasing. The public acceptance is increasing. I think we are headed for real disclosure, and there's some very serious organisations heading in that direction. They are little people that look strange to us.
So this is a leading astronaut who obviously has a lot of credibility to lose if he's...
A lot of access to different people within NASA and that kind of thing. You know?
So I believe you took these quotes and did something quite extraordinary with them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Gordon Brown what he thought of this. Was he concerned by it? Was he doing anything about it? So I wrote him a letter, and we've got the comments there.
Yeah, if we can see number 3 now of those stills.
Do you believe that the British people have the right to know if our world had been contacted by an alien civilization? Do you or any member of the British government have any knowledge or information about what Dr. Edgar Mitchell was talking about? Do Dr. Mitchell's comments concern you, and have you taken any steps to find out what he was saying?
So what was the reply?
Well, I got a reply from
Can we have the next slide, please?
Yeah. OK, this is part of the reply that came from the MOD. They passed the letter to the MOD, and they said that from time to time comments on the subject of UFOs are made by the media, but it is not our policy to investigate every instance of this. I can state that we are not actively investigating Dr. Mitchell's statements, and other than what has appeared in the media, have no knowledge regarding them.
So, reading between the lines, they're not denying it, are they?
No, they're not denying it. And one question that they didn't answer in my letter was that whether the British people have a right to know. They didn't say that they do have a right to know or not. They just waffled on about releasing the files that were released in May about UFO sightings, and said that unless an event has a military threat, then they're basically not interested. So there is no department. Basically, the MOD are only interested if there's an alleged threat. So there's no department which actually deals with if someone, say, came in peace. I want to know which department in the government would deal with a peaceful alien. OK. Well,
we briefly talked a little bit, just at the very start there, about other people who've come forward. And I'd like to show a clip now which is to do with the Disclosure Project.
Yes.
Do you want to just quickly give us a bit of an intro to that?
The Disclosure Project was set up by Dr. Stephen Greer in 1993, and over the 1990s he gathered over 400 ex-military and intelligence witnesses who were prepared to stand up and actually say what they'd seen.
And swear under oath, apparently.
Swear under oath and say that they would swear to a congressional hearing.
So these are people with top-level government clearance?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. People who've built their lives around the military. These are probably the most reliable people. Our lives depend on them. These are extremely reliable witnesses.
Well,
one other thing, the only reason why they're really giving their testimony is because Greer was able to give legal protection to the whole Disclosure Project.
Let's look at clip number 11 then, please. This is Stephen Greer talking about the Disclosure Project, I believe.
We are here today to disclose the truth about a subject that has been ridiculed and questioned, denied for at least 50 years. The men and women who are on this stage and the some 350 additional military intelligence witnesses to the so-called UFO matter and extraterrestrial intelligence can prove and will prove that we are not alone.
Wow. Well, that's good, isn't it? We have got some other clips from the Disclosure Project, but we don't have time to show them before the break, actually. So let's talk a bit more about the Disclosure Project and the principles of it and how many people were prepared to come forward and the kind of things that they said as well. I think is fascinating.
Yeah, at that particular conference, there were 21 witnesses, and they've said things ranging from that the UFOs had been seen on radar. One witness, Clifford Stone, worked where he actually recovered 12 crashed downed UFOs and actually saw alien bodies on them.
Why are so many crashing? If there's such advanced technology, surely they could just whiz about at will.
Well, perhaps they were shot down. I mean, there's a lot of ufologists now believe that the Roswell incident wasn't a crashed UFO, that it was in fact shot down.
Well, they weren't expecting it or something?
Well, apparently it was hit and then kind of stayed in the air for several days and then came down. So it didn't come down straight away, which is why possibly it wasn't, seen straight away. But the Disclosure Project, other witnesses claiming things like that there's alien bases on the far side of the moon. Carl Wolf, who we've got a clip of that, I think you might see that later. Absolutely phenomenal statements, and all completely 100%, kosher witnesses. Absolute. You can't dispute what they're saying.
I appreciate the way you're coming from. I mean, your position is that this is now established, that people who have taken the trouble to look at the evidence, as you describe it, are already believing that there are aliens on this planet. And I know that you've described quite a few of them in this book.
Yeah.
And you've talked about what they look like and so on. I mean, what's the implication? I mean, there's massive implication, isn't there?
Well, it's huge implication. I mean, a lot of people believe that the reason why the government don't release the information is that the amount of panic that it would cause on the Earth.
So, Richard, we were just talking about the Disclosure Project, where a lot of people who have had high government positions are prepared to come forward under oath and swear that they saw aliens, that they've worked on recovered spacecraft and so on. So I think we should go to that next clip, if we may.
Well, I'll just introduce it, if I may.
Of course.
The next clip is Carl Wolf, and he was a photographic repair engineer. So he went to a NASA installation where there was photographs coming back from a craft called the Lunar Orbiter.
Okay.
Now, this was 1965. The Lunar Orbiter was going round and round the moon, taking extremely detailed photographic images of the far side of the moon, or the back side of the moon.
Which is the side we never see.
The side we never see.
And it's not always in darkness, is it, as some people think?
Correct. People refer to it as the dark side of the moon, but it's not dark. It goes through periods of dark and light, just like the other side of the moon.
Just like the Earth does.
Yeah, and it rotates around the Earth in such a way that it's like this. So it always presents the same face towards the Earth. Right. It's synchronized. So on the far side, the only way to observe it is to get in a spaceship and go around, and this craft was viewing the far side of the moon, or the back side of the moon, for the first time. And Carl Wolf went to the laboratory where the images were coming back from.
Right. Let's roll VT then. Let's see what that looks like.
Good morning. My name is Carl Wolf, and I was a precision electronics photographic repairman with a top secret crypto clearance in the United States Air Force. I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. In 1965, in mid-1965, I was loaned to the Lunar Orbiter project at NASA on Langley Field. Dr. Colley was in charge of that project. They had problems with a piece of electronic equipment that was bottlenecking their production of photographs. I went to the facility, and when I walked into the facility, there were scientists from all over the world. I was stunned, actually, to see people at a NASA project from all over the world. It didn't make any sense to me initially. I was taken into the laboratory where the equipment was malfunctioning. I couldn't repair it in the dark. I asked to have it removed. Airman second class was in the dark room at that time. I was also an airman second class. I was interested in how the whole process functioned, how the data got from the lunar orbiter to the laboratory. Asked the young man if he described the process to me. He did. About 30 minutes into the process, he said to me, in a very distressed way, by the way, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And then he proceeded to put photographs down in front of me, and clearly in these photographs were structures, mushroom-shaped buildings, spherical buildings, and towers. And at that point, I was very concerned because I knew we were working on compartmentalized security. He had breached security, and I was actually frightened at that moment. And I did not question him any further. And a few moments later, someone did come into the room. I worked there for 3 more days, and I remember going home and naively thinking, I can't wait to hear about this on the evening news. And here it is, more than 30 years later, and I hope we hear about it tonight. And I will testify under oath before Congress that what I'm saying is the truth.
Well, that was pretty clear-cut, wasn't it?
I mean, does he seem the type that would tell fibs to you, Theo?
Hard to tell, isn't it? I mean, there's all kinds. Does George W. Bush seem the type that would tell fibs?
Well, I mean, when you actually think of the impact of what he's saying there, that there is an entire civilization hidden from the human race on the far side of the moon. I mean, what better place to have a civilization if you want to keep it from the human race?
It is,
you know, just nicely out of the way, but nicely out of view.
Yeah.
It sends a chill down my spine to think of that. Why are they there? What are they up to?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It is a good place to hide. Now, I should remind everybody out there that if you'd like to send in a question, text your question to 87778, charged at normal rate. Text the word EDGE, then a space, and then your question. Please say where you're from and your name. I'm going to read a couple of them out now. Michelle from Haysham says, what would you do if you met an alien?
Well, I went round and did quite a few surveys and asked people, and I asked my landlord that at my local pub, and he said that he would serve them beer.
Is that a good idea, do you think?
Who knows?
OK, I've got one from Craig. He says, why don't the aliens just announce themselves on TV? Surely it's not up to the governments to decide on disclosure. Let the people decide.
Well, that's probably the most common question. Why isn't it just announced by governments? And in order to answer that question, you've really got to go back to 1947, at the time of Roswell, when Harry Truman was the American president. And he set up the CIA shortly before Roswell so that he could centrally control all intelligence. And the Roswell event was covered up. He then set up another organization, MJ-12, specifically to cover up the Roswell event and anything pertaining to it. And the times were different then. The reason why it was covered up then was primarily due to maintain military secrets. So they wanted to examine the craft, see if there was any military technology in there. They didn't want it to get into the hands of the Russians because the times were very different. We'd just been setting off nuclear weapons for the first time in the Second World War. The Cold War was building up with Russia. So they did not want any of that information out of the public. And the lie or the deceit about what was recovered in Roswell just went on for years and years and years and years.
It just became a lie on top of a lie?
And people were murdered in order to maintain that lie. So
really?
It's never actually been admitted to by governments.
That's a rather serious accusation, isn't it, that the governments will go to that level to protect the secret?
OK. I mean, so you don't think governments lie to us?
I'm not saying that. Right, I've got another question here from Rosie Swanwick. I don't know if that's Rosie Swanwick or Rosie from Swanwick, but she says, have you any evidence of David Icke reptilians?
There's, in my book, I do cover somebody called Thomas Costello, who allegedly worked at one of these deep underground military bases in Nevada. In New Mexico. That one's in New Mexico. That's a base called Dulce. He was involved in the security there, and he testifies that there were reptilian beings at that base.
So there you go. There are reptilians. Let's go, if we can.
Another thing to note about that clip is the characteristics of the UFO. One is the very strong electric field, which Bob Lazar, who I mentioned earlier, he claims that the electric field is actually a byproduct of the craft's propulsion, anti-gravity propulsion system.
Okay.
And another characteristic is your typical different coloured lights. So you know it's classic UFO.
All right, let's.
And the other thing is the sudden change of speed when it disappears, which is again.
I suppose if you're falling with gravity somewhere, then you're not affected by local gravity. You've made your own gravity, and therefore it's not relative, is it?
Yeah, it's not relative, and And no matter what acceleration the craft appears to be moving at, the people within the craft are weightless. Throughout the whole, they can go through 90-degree angles like that, but no one experiences any G-force in it.
So, because otherwise they'd be torn apart, wouldn't they? They'd smash into the wall of the inside of the craft.
Yeah.
Let's go to a couple of questions here. We've got one from, guest 600. How do you know if the sightings people reported to have seen are legit or just made up? And if the government knows that UFOs are real, what good is it?
Well, I mean, a lot of them probably are made up. But if you listen to a lot of these military and intelligence witnesses, I don't think their testimony is made up. And what was the other question?
Just want to say, keep up the good work. Excellent channel. That's from John for the Dead Valley of the Shadow of Death, Fourth Dimension. Blimey, John. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest tonight, Richard D. Hall. We're going to whiz through a few more things. We've got some good questions coming in here. I'm going to read 4 of them out at once, and then you can pick the ones you really want to answer, Richard. How's that?
Okay, fine.
Where is the best place to have a possible UFO sighting? That's Chloe in Gateshead, another one from up northeast. Isn't Bob Lazar a proven fraud? Also, can you tell Richard he looks like Jules Holland? Samuel in Ballyclare, Ireland. Please read out I never missed the show. Well, thank you for watching. What is the ultimate objective of the aliens? Alan from Kent. And when do you think governments will ever admit what's going on, and why are they hiding the truth when so much could be learned to advance ourselves?
OK. Northern India, with the border of China, is where there's an alleged base where there's a lot of UFO activity.
So in the Himalaya?
Yeah, in the Himalayas. What was the next question?
What is the ultimate objective of the aliens?
Well, the answer to that could possibly lie in the abduction phenomena.
Let's talk about that.
That's people who claim to have been abducted, taken into a craft, operated on, and then had sperm removed, eggs removed, blood removed, this kind of thing. And one thing to note about the abduction phenomenon is that most people report an extremely similar story. So they're in bed, or they're in the car, or they're outside, and they get taken up to a craft where they appear in a round room, and then creatures with large eyes then operate on them with instruments that are not known to us.
And is there any evidence of this?
There's a vast amount of evidence of it, yeah.
What evidence is
physical marks on people's body, that kind of thing.
Implants?
Yeah, implants. There's a doctor in the States, Dr. Roger Lear.
That's pretty extraordinary, isn't it?
It's phenomenal. I mean, these implants actually emit radio waves at 2 different frequencies. And as he said there, they actually connect to the person's nerve endings. So I'm not aware of any medical technology that we have that can interface with nerve endings.
So why would the aliens want to find them again?
Well, I mean, the initial sort of thought is, well, they're tracking people, but Dr. Roger Lear doesn't believe that. He believes that they can track human beings without having an implant in them. So
what's the purpose then?
He doesn't know. It's a mystery. And if you could answer that question, then you would probably find the answer to the lady's question, which was, what is their ultimate objective here?
We have got another clip, haven't we, about somebody who was apparently abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
But I've also got a question here, and I just wanted to skip out of that mode for a moment, talking about the abductions. Somebody that says, hi there, just turned over, missed the bit about the reptilians. Do you think they exist, and where are they from? And his name is Ant. And I just wanted to show, if we can show the still image 5, which is one of your drawings of a reptilian, if you could describe that creature.
Yeah, this is an indigenous reptilian which is believed to have inhabited the Earth sort of 800,000 years ago. And my information, which I used to base that sketch on, comes from, again, this Thomas Costello, who worked at this deep underground base.
So you think these particular types of reptilian have been here forever?
Yeah. And there's another breed of reptilians that are alleged to come from Alpha Draconis star system.
And do they look like that?
Yeah, similar to that. Now, I would say that there's probably less evidence of reptilian aliens than there is of the greys, i.e. the small greys and the tall greys. The small grey is the alien which was...
That's the ubiquitous alien, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're going to see an alien, you'll see a small grey, is that right?
Almond-shaped, black eyes.
Can we see that image number 6? This is another one of your drawings, I believe.
Yeah.
Just coming up now. It's a classic alien shot.
Yeah, and I derived the content for that drawing from somebody called Robert Collins, who worked for the US Air Force. He was like a technologist for many years. He he claims that there's a photograph which is on the internet of a dead alien which has its eyes open. He claims that that's a genuine alien from the Roswell crash.
Not that one from those fake alien autopsy films.
No. So I based that sketch on that particular photograph.
Okay. Well, let's talk a bit more about these small greys and other aliens, because I'm going to show this Alien Abductee film now, this is a film you made, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is film number 7.
Yeah, so this guy, I was giving a talk in Gateshead about aliens and UFOs, and I had a little advert in the local paper. And he rang me up and said, well, I've seen these aliens. I saw them in 1940. And he proceeded to tell me this, long story.
This is an elderly gentleman.
Yeah.
And had he ever told anybody about this before?
Oh, yeah, he's told other people. He's basically been telling the same story all of his life since he was 7 years old and been ridiculed for it all of his life.
So again, it's hard to see what the payoff for that is if
Yeah.
it's not true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's watch the film, shall we? And
Yeah.
then talk a bit more about it.
Okay.
If we can see that film now, please.
Explain it. You know when you look through a fire and it's wobbly? Well, that seemed to be the barrier. You couldn't... All you could see is the railway, because we didn't see it till we got through this like a barrier. And they got a hold of it. And when they were...
hold of this other lad as well?
Yeah. And they took us both along. And the horrible-looking things, there was about 18 and 19 creatures, the horrible-looking things.
Can you describe what they look like?
Well, there was one, I know you're gonna take the mick. One was like Bigfoot. He was very tall. And the others were small, about 4 foot. And they were horrible ones. One had like a diver's mask on him. We walked through, he took me through into there, examined us, took some blood out of the back of my neck. He said, if you lift your head up, you'll be killed instantly. And I was petrified, or need pain myself. They examined me, they brought us out, and they were pleased as punch with me. But I was really bad, I tell you, shaking. And I stood beside these other creatures. They were like men, but the tallest one was about 4 foot. And they went down to about 2 foot. There was 3 of them. And these other ones were all horrible-looking creatures.
Blimey. Once again, blimey.
Yeah, well, he alleges that there's another witness to that event, and over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to trace that witness, and I feel I'm getting closer to him.
This is the young boy he was with when
he was with another boy when that abduction occurred, and he alleges that he was abducted as well. And I had very little information to go on, but I'm getting closer to that person. So if I can find him, and he corroborates the story, then it will be a big story. I'm also looking at newspaper records and that kind of thing as well.
Okay. Well, I hope you find him. I've got a question here from Ian from Chorley, who said, is time travelling more plausible than visitors from other planets? It's a good idea, isn't it?
Well, with time travelling, I think it is possible to go forward in time.
We do it all the time. I'm doing it right now.
Well, if you actually approach the speed of light, your own time slows down. Okay. So if I went the speed of light for a period of time, I could come back, and then I would be in the future. So that's actually possible. That's proven. That's Einstein showed.
Yeah, Einstein, he stood on a tram, didn't he, in Geneva or somewhere, and looked at the clock in the town square and worked out if he was going fast enough, the clock would appear to slow down until it stopped, whereas the people back in the town square would see the clock moving forward.
Exactly.
So he worked out relativity.
Yeah. So it is possible to travel forward in time, but travelling backward in time just presents a whole lot of problems, because you could travel backwards in time and then kill your parents. So then that says, well, how do you then exist? How did you come to be? So backward time travel, I can't see how that could work.
Okay. Another question here. If there are ETs, why have they not made obvious contact with us? Well, that's pretty much the same question as you had before, I suppose, isn't it? Why haven't they? I mean, why is it up to the governments? I mean, if the governments are keeping a big secret and are working with all these aliens and all these different races, which you describe in your book...
Well,
why don't the aliens just go, sod all this, let's just show ourselves?
Well, in 1954, President Eisenhower is alleged to have met with a race of tall greys. And at that meeting, he had 4 officials with him. And it was their job to study what was going on in order to determine whether they were going to tell the people. and they concluded that they wouldn't tell the world.
Why did they conclude that?
I don't know that. I mean, telling the public could cause all kinds of unrest, as I touched on in the first section. If these beings are more intelligent or more advanced and have better technology, then there's a potential threat there. So
well, there are obvious threats to sort of world order, and I suppose religions have got something to fear, haven't they? I mean, these aliens might have their own gods. I mean, we talked about something to do with religion before, something to do with the Catholic Church.
Some people are worried that if it's announced, then people will start to revere aliens because they have perhaps superior intelligence or superior technology.
Well, like cargo cults in Papua New Guinea.
So that's possibly a worry. My personal view on religion is that if disclosure came about, I think religion would survive. I mean, it's done so in the past when they've found things like evolution and, that the world's not flat.
Hasn't the Catholic Church made an announcement about
it has,
aliens?
Yeah.
Describe that for me.
Yeah, the Catholic Church has made an extensive announcement saying that, I'll just get the words right, that beings could exist from another planet. There is, we can't put limits on God's creative freedom. So they've put this announcement out, in my opinion, that they're getting ready in case disclosure comes about, so that it doesn't basically affect their power base. They're preparing themselves for that eventuality.
So do you think they're also ready to accept, perhaps, that these aliens were instrumental in creating our genotype, that they've messed around with us a bit, and maybe, because the missing link is missing still, isn't it, between apes and man? Maybe the aliens came along and fiddled about a bit, and because we've got 43 chromosomes and apes have got 45 or something. I might have the numbers wrong, but...
Yeah,
there's the Zachariah Sitchin's theories and Lloyd Pye. I think that if that was proven, that we were genetically engineered by aliens, I still think that religion would survive, because it still doesn't contradict God. That God might have created the aliens that created us, for example.
Richard, that's a fantastic exposition of everything that's going on, but that's all we've got time for. Thank you to everyone for watching, and to those who texted in, and thanks to my special guest, Richard D. Hall. If you've enjoyed this show, tell all your friends. If you haven't, tell a few small grey aliens and one of those scaly guys from Alpha Draconia. Next